Hi all, Xronos here, and this is my BFA gold making guide. So the two add-ons that you'll need is Auctionator and Trade Skill Master. 90% of the stuff that I do, I use Auctionator, so all the stuff I post on to the auction house, I actually use Auctionator. I don't use Trade Skill Master, but I do use Trade Skill Master for all the crafting stuff because it makes it so much easier and so much straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I've got some stuff to put in the auction house. So the main thing that I make gold with, alchemy and engineering. Alchemy, the main things I make is living steel, and I use living steel along with engineering to make sky golems. So Sky Golem is the item that makes me a big chunk of gold. Obviously with the beginning of each expansion you get stuff to be able to craft and make money with. But that's my steady constant. I will always craft, I don't know how many depending on how many characters I have, but I always seem to have enough to be able to, when I sell one, I have enough to craft another one. So this is something that's been built up over time. You'll need multiple characters to be at least level 90 and have alchemy and engineering to be able to craft materials you need to make the mounts. If you have Auctionator, you will have an additional two buttons here which say buy and sell. Very simple with Auctionator. Say I wanted to sell a sky golem, I'll put it on. I normally put everything for 12 hours. That's the rule. Normally I will be able to sell a sky golem between 120 to 140. But remember, you can only, if you have one character that does this, they can only make one a month. So that's the beauty when you have multiple characters that you've leveled up, reached to a point that you can utilize them. And that's what I did eventually to start making gold. So that's the main thing I make gold with so now I'm going to go into what I sell in BFA. So basically the things that I sell mostly are enchanting and flasks. So as you can see, I've got a selection of enchants here. I'll tell you which ones that I sell specifically that make the most money, and I'll talk about the flasks as well. Before I finish from here, I want to show you what I buy in order to make the sky golem. You need ghost iron bars. So in this case, the ore is fairly cheap. I'm going to buy this all out. You'll also need characters to be able to smelt. So if you're buying the ore, you'll have to be able to obviously make. The other thing you can also buy is trillium ore. You need a combination of black and white to make a trillium bar. So the trillium bars, you need 6 trillium bars to make a living steel, and this again has a daily cooldown, so you can only make 1 a day of these. But if you have mastered the skill, you can proc it and get more. So when I craft it for today, for my daily, I'll show you and we'll see if it procs or not. And then what I use TSM for, which is the other add-on that I use that to mainly look for BOEs to be able to flip. And I run a shopping scan. I just scan it once a day and look at stuff and see what's worth it. For example, I bought something which was 370 and I bought that for around 40 and I sold it for 90. I highly recommend it for the BOEs. From the pets, I haven't had a success. If you've had success on using TSM with pets, put it on the comment below, let me know what you do. So the main things I use is, in BFA, cooking, enchanting and alchemy. I do a bit of jewel crafting as well, but I haven't seen such success with profits and stuff. So you can transmute as much as you want a trillium bar. Again, this can also proc, so that's always good. So when you buy, so I'm gonna do say 15 of these so we can see if it procs at all. Okay, so that's done. So yeah, the transmute the living steel you can only do once. This may also proc, it may not proc. It depends. It didn't proc in this case. Let's do from this point on what I do and what I post with BFA stuff. So what I normally do is I do all these enchant rings, which are cheap to make. They cost nothing because I was disenchanting loads of stuff, loads of material in conjunction with my tailor. So when I log into my main character, I have enchanting and tailoring, and what I do is, so I will do the crit, the mastery. I do all of them. I mean, some of these are I do all of them because they all have some value and profit. So I've done haste, I've done critical, I've done mastery, and I also do versatility if I find it, which is this one. Is the main one I do, which I have any here, may I not have, maybe I need to craft, is the quick navigation. The quick navigation enchant is the best selling BFA enchant. Anything with haste, it seems all classes seem to have haste. And then I have some BOEs that I always put up. And these will take a while to sell. You know, I've had them for a few months. This is a BOE that you get from the expeditions. They're quite valuable, so I'll put those up as well. And some of these items may have been items that I saw as BOEs and I'm trying to flip, or maybe I just found them in dungeons. And speaking of dungeons and old raid content, that's another way to make good gold if you've got the time. Well worth going around for transmog runs and a chance to get a mount. And I'll put a couple of pets that I've crafted with my enchanting, which I used up materials from just before we transitioned from Legion to BFA. I used those mats to make these. And the other thing I make money from is the flasks. So the flasks are amazing. They do need a bit of work though, and I tend to sell them in stacks of 20, and I don't fiddle around with stacks of 5. Normally what I'd do, I'd find where the 22 stacks are and I'd put 2 or 3 stacks. But alchemy with selling flask is great because you proc and you just make tons of gold. So that's mainly what I do for BFA stuff. I'm going to log into my priest and I will show you what I do with the enchanting and how I craft stuff. Okay, so I'm logged into my priest who has tailoring and enchanting. So the way I would make enchanting materials on the cheap will be go to the auction house and buy tight spray linen. The nylon thread you can purchase from the tailoring vendor, which I'm going to go now. And so you can buy it from this vendor here. You just buy it and you make it. Normally you try to find the linen. I try to buy it for less than 10 gold. So anything under 10 I'll tend to buy. It varies, sometimes you could get for 7 or 8, but normally it's around 15 still. It's still quite high up. It will drop. So we're going to craft some braces and hope we're going to get some procs. So if I open here, so yeah, so it's procced 1, so that means we get a Umbra shard. Basically you put TSM destroy, basically disenchant, and you can ignore items in your bank, in your bags, if there are stuff like BOEs and you don't want to disenchant. So yeah, and sometimes it will proc, sometimes you'll get 2 shards to proc, so again you're making profit. What I normally do, I will do the weapon enchants, and we can make 1, so I'll just Q1 and do it. And then I would send that to my main auctionator and she will sell it. So obviously if you're doing quests and stuff, you'll get lots of items that you won't use because they're lower eye level than you. Again, you disenchant those and it will give you mats. That's how I make gold in BFA with enchanting and tailoring. So I'm going to switch around to my alchemist who has BFA recipes for flasks. Right, so I'm logged in with my alchemist, which has the BFA flask recipes. The recipe doesn't proc, you actually have to reach a reputation to get them. Means it's a bit harder for me with so many outs to go and grind. So what I've done is I've went and grinded 1 faction to get revert to get the level 3 recipes, because only on the level 3 recipes the flasks will proc. Do not do any flasks on level 2 recipe level or below, because you're not going to make money. It has to be level 3 for it to proc, and that's where you make your profit. As with all my alchemists, I have living steel. Again, I craft it once a day for my sky golems. And what I'm going to do now is I've got some materials. What we're going to do, we're going to make 12 flasks and we'll see how much it proc. With my luck, it probably won't proc at all on these 12 flasks. Okay, so our 12 flasks made us 8 extra flasks from that proc. So 12 gave us 20. That's how I make gold with flasks and alchemy. Again, prices will vary on your server. It'll be different depending on what you're doing. I'm going to log into my Death Knight who has jewel crafting, and I'll show you what I do there and how I make gold, a bit of gold with jewel crafting. So what I normally tend to do is prospecting into gems, the platinum ore. So I will look in the auction house to get platinum ore. The reason I don't do the other ones is because they're used for crafting, leveling other professions, and they tend to be quite expensive. So let's do a bit of prospecting. Again, you could probably prospect with TS. I would normally, yeah, it's Kraken's Eye, so that's the one that would normally proc out. I will make those and sell those, and the other one that I will make is the Owl's Eye, and I'll send it again to my other character and make gold. But it's always good to see when the Warfront is active and you get all those quests that you can turn in to build resources. Is a great time to make gold. So normally when it's Warfront, when we're waiting, currently it's active for the Alliance in the server, but when you're waiting you'll get all these quests around here. There'll be one for jewel crafting, which needs 15 of these kyanites. It will need versatile kyanites, and it needs 15 of these. So what I normally do is I craft them and then sell them in the auction house in stacks of 15, because people are always after them in stacks of 15. And you can do the same thing with enchanting, because the equivalent is you need to have 3 scrolls of the ring enchant for critical strike. The other thing that I make is cooking. So my favorite recipe to cook, swamp fish and chips, because it has haste. So the beauty with this recipe is obviously you need to get to level 3, because then you make, for one craft you make 10 of these. And these materials you obviously buy from the vendor, so the only thing you need to buy is a slimy mackerel. Tuesday is the best day to also make money if you've got a bit of money on the side, to go on the auction house and buy, because people will offload stuff on a Tuesday because it's end of reset. You just go and buy materials then, because that's when normally the items will be on the lowest price. And that's where I go and buy. Always worth, log in 10 minutes, go into the auction house and have a look and see what you can find. So I've covered most of the BFA stuff. The last thing I'll do is I will switch to one of my characters who has both alchemy and engineering, so I can show you the whole process of what I do every day with my rest of my characters. I have loads of characters, both in Alliance and in the Horde side. Okay, so I switched to my Horde character, and again, same thing. What I just daily do is again, make some trillium bars. Let's say we're going to do 8 now. We'll see if it procs. Oh, so in this case it procced 5 times. You cannot see that, but yeah, it did proc 5 times. It's actually procced a few more times. Anyway, so then I craft this, and then in this case I have both engineering, and you need the Jar's peculiar energy source. It's a daily cooldown, it uses 10 bars, and you craft it, and that's it. And then you have the sky golem, so I need, in 8 days I'll be able to make a sky golem, because I have enough living steel, because it's been proccing with my characters on this particular. And I've been very busy buying ghost iron bars, because whenever I find them cheap I just buy them. So I have a section where they're all already smelted, and I normally have another section which they're not smelted, but I've been busy, so I've been smelting, and I have all my living steel here, which again I sometimes will have a look and I'll see if it's profitable. I'll even sell the living steels as they are. So I'm gonna have a look and see how much is the ghost iron here, and if it's cheap again I will buy it. It's not always cheap, but that's what I base it. So in this case again it's been quite cheap. I just simply buy it. Normally what I do, I buy, and now I'm going to switch to my smelter. So when I open my yeah, he's got some bars to smelt. So normally what I would do, I would send stuff that I've bought from him, I would send it to this guy, and then I would go and smelt the bars. Trillium ores, as you can see, you smelt the trillium. So I've got a few trillium here, and then I'll just put that all in my guild bank. So I have this little production set up, and that's what I do. Please feel free to ask me any questions you have, any comments. Please put them below and I'll make sure to answer them. And if you did like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Cheers.